Stand, join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Meeting of the Wahoo City Council, August 12th, 27th, at 7 o'clock. Call meeting to order, roll call.
Stuart Creechy.
Here.
Shane Sweet.
Here.
Ryan Diaz.
Here.
Chris Rappel.
Here.
Patrick Nagel.
Here.
Carl Walker.
We have to mention the Open Meetings Act is posted on the wall. So, with that, there's no proclamation. People in the audience is on the air, so, we'll be able to move through that, all right? Department head reports.
So I think on the original agenda, Grant Anderson or EMS and Cody Hull from the fire department were intending to be here. Grant is wearing kind of two hats as a Saunders County Emergency Manager and helping through EMS while we're searching for a new person for that position. We are working on that, it just hasn't landed on a decision at this point, so we're working on it. It's been a bit since I have gone through, made a report, and so just want to walk through, I won't read all of this, but I want to walk through a couple of things to highlight. If you're not aware, the Wahoo Airport has a federal grant to construct a new hangar. There's 3 T hangars and then one box hangar, so it will hold a larger aircraft in that box hangar, and then that's a 90-10 grant from the FAA, and so we're working with Kirk and Michael on that design. We hope to be able to go out for bids by the middle of October or the first part of November, with construction to happen next year. I think I previously talked about this. I was officially nominated to serve on the Nebraska City County Managers Association Board of Directors as the Secretary-Treasurer. Secretary-Treasurer elections will be held in September at the League Annual Conference, and that, provided I run unopposed, those terms would start November 1. And it's the progressive leadership. So you start with Secretary-Treasurer, Vice Chair, Chair, or President, past President. So that'll be on my plate for
5 years?
I think it's 4 years. Joe, Todd, and I participated or attended an interesting webinar that was free through the American Public Works Association on the use of artificial intelligence in infrastructure evaluation for capital improvement planning. So there is a system out there now, relatively inexpensive, where you take you've probably heard of this, Patrick, where you take your cell phone, load it on the front of your car, you drive the streets, you send it in, it conducts the diagnostics in terms of number of cracks that you have or smoothness, all of those things, and rates your pavement sections. It's a pavement inventory process. What? Pavement grading?
That's a Pazer.
Yeah, there's several
What
of
we
them.
use,
Right, yeah,
but
at
it's,
scale.
it gives
right?
you, from needs to be replaced up, still good.
Yeah, and so we were hearing for, I see $10,000 sounds like a lot of money, but for $10,000, which is really not that much money, you can use it, yeah. And the webinar was about the problems with the information and how you teach it and all of those things. And then they talked about review of sanitary sewer and storm sewer as well. So that's something that I think we're sort of dipping our toes in to see how it can be used.
Is that a $10,000 one-time fee or annual fee?
It's a one-time fee to drive up.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
actually cheap then.
right. And we haven't gotten any quotes on it specifically, but that was just based off of like lane miles. They were talking their costs, and we sort of fit it to what our lane miles are. We have had a Teams meeting with Jake Vasha from SEH. Jake is a native to Wahoo, is in UTAM now, but he's, used to work for JEO, now works for SEH, and they've been contracted by Mike Sullivan to do infrastructure development on the Wahoo Super project. So we actually saw some engineering plans and water lines and all of the things. It was a productive conversation that we had, so that's a positive. Upcoming meetings, just a reminder, on August 25th, we are going to be meeting at 6 o'clock in a work session to review the proposals received on city insurance. On the 27th, there's a Board of Adjustments meeting that will be at City Hall. On September 23rd, we'll have a budget presentation at 6 o'clock. And then if you want to attend the league annual conference, you need to let McKenna know so she can get you registered. Project updates on Wilmer Ridge. We got a notification on Friday afternoon that K2 would be starting work Monday morning. You got that notification, right, Joe? I forwarded on, but K2 has contracted Olson to do the construction oversight, and Joe has committed a team member to be on site for the removal and the repouring of the paving sections.
For the whole process? You'll have somebody there?
Yes. Yeah, and we were very clear with Olson on what our expectations were about the condition of the paving once the pieces had been removed, because there can, when you take them out roughly or whatever, not using proper techniques, you can damage all the rest of it. So that's why we're having our guy there, or whether, well, I don't know for sure whether it's Joe or Todd or exactly who he's got out there, but inspecting those holes to make sure that there's no damage. He showed me a picture of where a panel had been taken out and the adjoining curb had been cracked. And so he said, even without me pointing it out, they took out that panel as well. So I think they're a little cognizant of the, and I will just be anxious to get the project done and close it out, so.
I say double cut the,
What?
cut the joint and then come 6 inches inside the panel, you wanna take and cut it again.
Well, that's what, they cut
And that-
relief
It
joints.
should help
Yeah,
reduce the damage of the panel next to it, because hopefully you're gonna break that little 6-inch piece
yeah.
that you're leaving. And then you remove that piece after the fact.
And Joe said there was no tie bars in the baby, so he's been watching for that pretty closely. On the city facilities, our public engagement, the JEO public engagement team was on site to review, visited with staff, the police, fire, EMS, and city hall to learn about the issues and difficulties. And I can't remember, Kristen, I think is her name, from JEO. She stuck around and we visited for a little bit, and she's like, I cannot believe how welcoming your staff has been and how forward they have been with talking about the situation, and not in a negative way, but just in an information sharing way. So I appreciate that. I think she got a good understanding of what we're dealing with. A site visit for the Civic Center is also is being scheduled. I have continued to work with FEMA on closing out the May 2024 flood disaster. So FEMA, when they work on public assistance, they have different categories of projects. So category A, B, C, D, F, G. We had several different categories of projects, and all of them have been closed out except A and B. A is debris removal, B is volunteer or protective services. So we're working on getting that done, and I hope that by the end of the fiscal year we have received all of our reimbursements, and I can report to you on what those final reimbursements were. Tomorrow we are meeting with FEMA to scope the recovery work for the March 25 storm disaster. Because of the experience we've had in disaster projects, we have almost all of the documentation together for them. So once we complete the scoping of the work, we'll be able to submit that, and then everything will be on their timeline to get reviewed and handled. We've invited Grant to participate or to sit in and just listen, because he said he's never been through this recovery process, and he helpful to him as a emergency manager. I am continuing to work with SEND on our CDBG planning grant. We've gotten a couple of really good letters of support. If you know of anyone who wants to submit, we would be willing to take those. They can just email them to me. Other things we've been working on, we have hired a consultant, which came recommended by Sunridge Medical Center on some professional development in City Hall and with utility staff. We're discussing branching that out a little bit further, but I think we had a meeting where we did a culture identification workshop with City Hall staff. It's been a positive experience. We hired someone to replace Casey Schmidt. McKenna Marker started on July 30th. She's young and she's excited to work, and I'm excited to have her. I think she'll fit in very well with us. Just stop by and introduce yourself. I worked with the SEND office this last, 3 weeks to submit an application for a Section 128 assessment grant regarding brownfields. So I've always viewed brownfields as something that's very negative, but the conversation I had with SEND, basically if you look up a brownfield, it's real property, the expansion, redevelopment, or reuse of which may be complicated by the presence or potential presence of a hazardous substance, pollutant, or contaminant. So if you imagine a piece of property that you have seen sit full of cars that have leaked oil or gasoline on it for years, this Section 128 assessment gives us the funding to complete a Phase 1 environmental on that property. So this grant is only available to local government, nonprofits. It's not available to private property owners. And it's really a tool. It doesn't cost us anything. We have a Phase 1 site assessment done. We can hold it in our back pocket until, it might be needed in terms of conversation of redevelopment of property or to assist someone in buying it. Just either confirms or can basically say, no, there's no contaminants there. So.
What about asbestos abatement?
Well, and that's one thing. There is grant funds available for asbestos abatement. It's not part of the Section 128.
Contaminant fell underneath that.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, it would, if a building was built in the 60s and had asbestos in it, and that's a hurdle for someone coming in to buy it, then yeah. So I went through with the office, and we sort of brainstormed about where those potential locations might be, and we came up with 2 areas. One of them along the railroad right away through town here, and the other sort of along the other railroad along the east side of town, so where the old co-op was, where the grain bins are, Odin's development sort of along there. Lastly, just a reminder that the airport is now hosting the fly-in breakfast on the 3rd Saturday of each month. It's a free will donation. They use it to fund scholarships for students to attend aviation camp in Oshkosh.
Would that be this Saturday? That's the 3rd Saturday?
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, I can tell
Yes, that's right.
I've done it in June and July, so that's nice to hear.
Yeah, and it's a monthly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when they came to the airport authority, they said it'll depend on the day, but between 80 and 120 people attend that. But some drive, some fly, so
Nice.
in and out. So yeah, it's great traffic for our airport. The other thing I wanted to talk about that Joe asked me to share with you is this is his preliminary 1 and 6 year road plan. And I think he wanted to get this in your hands. There's no pretty maps. He's doing it this year versus Steve Barr, as he is our licensed street superintendent. So the only things that have changed from our last year's plan is that we have completed North Highlands and some brick repair at Fifth and Walnut. There's another location, he can answer that, but we'll mark those as complete. And then he's adding, again, those same kind of projects. Let's see, the 181 and the 182, 14th and Broadway, and Beach Street, 1st to 2nd. Those are two that he has identified as something he would like to accomplish next year. And then in the 6-year plan, we have the downtown. And I think that's where we're gonna leave the 6-year is just limited to that, as well as the potential intersection out at the expressway. We had that in there in case the opportunity for developing that comes forward, or money falls from the sky or something like that. We have it in our 6-year plan. So review this, and if you have any questions, we will have a public hearing. The first meeting in September, where we will ask you to approve this plan, but I think he maybe has a street committee plan too, but he'll go over this in a minute. Any questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
your first point on the airport with a grant,
Yes.
it's a federal grant.
Yes.
Are we in jeopardy of losing it? Will we keep the grant? I know there's a lot of clawback on federal funds. This is money that we think we will get and keep.
Yes, this is part of the transportation funds are not under attack.
This was transportation.
Yes.
Okay.
Right, it's under the Federal Highway Administration.
Okay.
And it comes through the Department of Transportation.
Nice.
And this money is some ARPA money that we had been allocated 3 years ago through the state that we needed to use. And it is also our non-primary entitlement. So as a non-primary entitlement airport, we get $150,000 every year from the FAA to devote to projects. And it's on a 3-year rotation. You can accumulate it for 3 years, but it has to be obligated for a project at some point in that 3 years, or if you don't spend it, you lose it. So we don't lose it. The state gets it back,
They reallocate.
and they can reallocate it to other airports. So, and we've been the beneficiary of that allocation on other projects. So when other airports haven't used the money, we've been able to receive it. Like the runway was over on some things. So.
Thanks.
Make a comment, general committee met tonight of the cemetery, friends and employees, and I don't know if you want to comment on it, but main focus is everything seems to be going well. Weather has not been positive for keeping it mowed, cleaned up, there's more tree damage. But we got through that okay, and talking about the expansion of the cemetery north of the cemetery, or Sunrise North.
Jerry, you hit all the big points there. I would definitely back up what you said. It was the meetings have been very, I would say, fruitful, good communication, moved right along. And some of the topics that we did spend time with were some expansion ideas, both in terms of direction as well as what would make up the expansion. So there's more to be discussed, but it was a good conversation. The community volunteers, I think, are a difference maker, and I think that helps head off anything that can be construed as the city doing something to the cemetery. I think that a lot of things are taken care of that way. There's been good communication, and they have additional ideas to communicate upcoming fall cleanup. So, and that's happening October 1st through 10th, I do believe. So that will be communicated.
One other thing was Kate and Linda are gonna look at starting a Facebook group page for like Friends of the Water Cemeteries. And it's gonna have some history information on the cemeteries, where they started from, some information on Greenfield there. And that's also where they'll share some of the stuff like, hey, fall cleanup dates coming up, and just have a little post out there, but it'll be something that'll be for people who wanna be informed of what's kind of happening out there, and some of the little things. It's like, we just sprayed, because you may hear a complaint that an area is all brown. Well, he just sprayed for weeds and it turned brown, but he's gonna be overseeding that area. So it's a step that has to happen to get a good stand for the next group of seed that's going on.
Not an overnight.
What a challenging year to stay on top of mowing and this, all that at the cemetery, that's how they've done that.
I think Quinn said, not besides just this storm, but the previous storms from March, cemeteries lost 20 trees.
So it had some pretty big, nice
Sure.
old trees, and those get wailed on.
Right.
Was it 3 or 4?
He said there was 4 that were damaged, and
It was last one.
3 of them are probably not gonna make it, and they're having to go away, and 1 might be trimmed up and salvageable still. You left out there.
I don't remember, was the open house that they had out there
In June.
in June, was that before the last meeting or after the last meeting?
It was after.
I would say after.
After.
They reported on
He
it.
did, okay.
They,
Yeah, I think that was a successful event.
I agree.
And I think the settlement from the meeting was very successful.
I think they'd like
And
to do something
they have some
similar.
other ideas of somebody at the museum might give like a guided tour, history of some of the stuff that's out there too. Working together and have that kind of event. Good idea. Just to keep everybody informed and show them what we're doing and how we're trying to improve it.
Very good. Talk about tree damage, Melissa and I and Joe individually talked, over the weekend after the last storm, and, met with Joe today, and, he's got one crew on it because he's got Roman Ridge and other projects going, so it's probably gonna be, take maybe a whole week for them to get totally picked up. They started out wanting to get, just the big stuff, but said it's hard to drive somebody pile that's there, and probably knowing that they don't have the equipment, so I think he's stretching it a little bit. We also decided that we probably need better guidelines as to when that's declared as an emergency or a disaster.
There's a lot of trees piling on the curb,
I know,
so I think,
so,
I don't know. did
Yeah.
you-
but
They piled them there before anything happened.
yeah.
That's looking back on this event, we should have come together as a team on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I'm not saying no one didn't do their job, but we could have been maybe better organized in maybe on the tree side of things and
Yeah.
figuring out the messaging and
So did the
laying out that
city not do
expectation.
it, or they did do it, they did some?
The city didn't do anything
That's what I thought.
until Monday, right? And I had shared that information that, and the Facebook post was very deliberate. At this point, we are not intending to collect. Because municipal code is very clear. I don't have the ability to tell Joe to go out and pick up. And you don't have the ability unless the mayor says,
Okay.
we shall. And the municipal code is very clear that it is at the mayor's discretion.
That was a tree pile, that's gotta be a pretty big pile right now.
Oh my gosh, there was,
I mean, you've been out there.
did you see the line
Leaned
on
in
the
my
Saturday?
yard.
That road
Yeah,
was busy Saturday.
I was down there last night, it's full,
they had
but.
a staff member or two there all day Saturday and all day Sunday monitoring and kind of controlling the ins and outs of the access.
Sounds good.
I guess the key down
I think having presence is good, but I'm sure the question is how do you pay the person,
Well, they're on overtime, so
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Well, I think that was worth it, otherwise you would've.
Yeah, we would have had a mess,
You would've,
yeah,
You would have piles.
you would've gotten down the road,
right,
and just thrown it everywhere.
Do we need to look at changing maybe our process on events like this to where, like you were saying, to get everybody together to come up with a decision on things like that.
How do you decide the severity level
Yeah.
when to
Well,
have emergency
well,
meeting?
it's the
Well, someone
incident
from that
command,
facility could be able to make that call. And
it's,
something,
yeah.
Jerry or.
It's the incident command structure, and we do, informally, we do a good job, but we need to
Yeah.
maybe be a little more formal in how we handle.
Yeah, that's.
And I
my
think
question.
honestly, I didn't realize it was as bad as it was on Saturday when I got
I
up
would
and
agree.
drove around a little bit. Yeah, there's some trees, but
You would think most of them were gonna break off, were broken off in March, but there's some big ones this time.
Well,
No,
neighbor,
neighborhood.
80 mile hour street was
The
the
tree
tree.
that
Yeah.
fell in the street.
But it's-
2 hours away. Snapped
Fell
off
in
the
the car.
Yeah, but I mean, I drove from my house downtown to get to Sam Crawford, and like you saw some, but it wasn't crazy. But you go on some of the back roads, like, oh wow, there's a lot more, so.
That always happens on Saturday night, Friday night,
Right.
or a weekend,
Right.
so there's no communication.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. We should have probably worked at City Hall on Saturday morning
Yeah.
after we did a damage assessment and then decided what our message was going to be.
Well, I think it worked well that, I don't think everybody should just assume that the city is going to pick up every storm. So I think that was fine that the able-bodied person that could take this, the limbs away did so. And then you were left with the people that probably weren't able to do that. So I think that process worked well.
Generally
Yeah, I
speaking,
think so.
I think, yes, that's the case. There are, you drive around and you see individuals who do have the capabilities or the equipment to do it and
Issues
still sitting out on the street.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
That's all you have.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised. They had just a nice, 5-inch branch that fell, but it was over the sidewalk, so I just drug it off the sidewalk and we were walking by, and I was busy all day Saturday, so I was gonna do it Sunday, and came home Saturday night and it was gone. Somebody picked it up for me. Wow, that was nice. Yeah. To your comment, I think that you put out there whenever. that,
Yeah.
Complimented the community, just those that didn't rely on the city, right, to do it, that were
Right.
able to, that did
That's
do
why
it.
we're a community, right?
Yeah,
Like I
that's
said,
nice.
Saturday, mid-morning to
Oh, I can't
late
imagine.
afternoon, that road,
Yeah.
turning by the four-way stop.
You couldn't pay me to haul mine out there. so-
Oh, I mean, it was just dump trailer after dump trailer after dump trailer after truck. I mean,
Well, and we took several calls at City Hall too, from people in Ithaca
Mhm. Yeah, they got it.
who couldn't, that wanted to know if they could dump at our location, like,
Sorry.
Wahoo residents. So I'm sure there was a number of those that slipped in also. That's all I have.
Okay. JEO,
Can you pull up that status report, because there was something I wanted to bring to your attention and I don't remember what it was exactly. No, I can't remember it.
It doesn't have the table.
Just hit the 2 arrows at the top.
Drainage evaluation slightly delayed, maybe?
Gosh, I don't remember what it was. Oh, Chestnut Street lighting, that's what it was.
Mhm.
We are under a 5-year warranty due to the issue that we had with the installation of them leaning and tilting. Right, so if you're out and about and you see any that look, I don't know how we're gonna get them to come back, but it's a 5-year warranty, and so
Yeah.
if anything is drastic, let me know,
Okay.
please.
Now, would any of those leading be affected by, let's say, this last storm?
I suppose that's an argument that they could use, yeah.
Maybe wait a month to call.
Yeah.
And the
That's-
5-year ends when?
February 26th,
I see it now. Okay, gotcha.
thank you, Christine. I don't have anything else, Jared, I'm just staying up here because I'm the next thing on the agenda as well.
any questions on that report?
we got, approval of claims. We're on consent agenda.
Consent
So
agenda.
Yeah,
there was really nothing in claims.
Everything is,
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
is that what questions? Roll call.
Creachy,
Yes.
Sweet,
yes.
Grapple,
Yes.
Ideas,
Yes.
Nagel.
Yes.
No public hearings, associated items. November 13th, it's set up for the next or the November council meeting. Tuesday night, or Tuesday is the 11th, and our meeting night at City Hall is closed, so we move to Thursday.
Or if you guys wanna move it to Monday, we just need to know, because the way the newspaper goes, we have like to submit the publication like October 1st for, I'm exaggerating, but it feels like.
I like Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday.
Yeah.
Kind of what game's on that night.
I'll make the motion.
There's a motion
Well, let me
to
get
move
my
the meeting in
lookout
November
for
to
you.
the 13th, is there a second?
I'll second that.
I promise I'll make it a short agenda.
Famous last words. And get started and I'll start.
Ideas.
Yes.
Grapple.
Yes.
Nagel.
Yes.
Creachy.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yes.
Okay, item number 2, the 2025 City of Wahoo pay scale, which incorporates the wage changes identified in the 25 salary survey, which is necessary to be compliant with the prevailing wage requirements. Effective 24.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to table approval of a pay scale until our next council meeting. So you're not gonna see a pay scale. I have it together. I would like to have the finance committee meet so that we can dive into the details before then. So let me know a date or two that would work for you before our next council meeting. But I did want to go through the process. So when we hired the consultant, we identified the array communities, which you'll see on the back of this map that identifies just a visual of those communities that we are comparing ourselves to. Per statute, the array on public employers can't be less than half of our current population nor more than double our current population. So you see those limits, and then on public utilities, not less than half the current number of employees, not more than double the number of current employees. And then the last is if you're in a metropolitan statistical area, only one comparable is allowed in that MSA. So you'll see the list of the array that we had the consultant pull the data, get the data from for us. After we got this and looking at it, we purposefully included the city of Hastings because there are very few municipalities in the state that have natural gas systems, and we struggle with getting enough to compare. So the data that we got from this consultant had the city of Hastings in for all of the positions, which is sort of, we are not putting this together with the intent of supporting us in the Court of Industrial Relations if we ever get taken to court, but generally speaking, we did not want to have that included in all of the positions except for the natural gas department. So you see the comparability, or the array and the map. Once we got that information from the consultant, we reviewed the survey data for accuracy. Ryan did a little statistical evaluation and identified some outliers that he was concerned with. One community that we do have on our comparability that is struggling for keeping employees, and I think it's pretty obvious why they can't, and that is Fall Cities, because every single one of their positions is on the like a statistical outlier, right? Ryan ran his little analysis, and so in some of the positions, particularly on the utility side, where currently they have no linemen because they all quit, because they're we pulled that data out because it brings down, I feel like our hiring location is different than Falls City, closer to the metro area. We lose people to LES and OPPD all the time, Butler County. And we're also battling with the city of Seward, the city of Fremont, who have lineman programs, and the city of Seward particularly has really stepped up their game in the wages that they're offering. So when you see the data, it kind of makes sense, but that was our justification. We left in Fremont because that is someone that we directly compete with for employees. So once we got the survey data in and we did an analysis, our target spread on our pay scale is 30% from top to bottom, the difference, over 9 steps. So we took the midpoint for every position of the data of the bottom and the top wages, and we compared them to our existing and then did an adjustment. And it's the same process that we did the last time we did our salary survey. So not every community has a 30% spread between their positions, especially in positions that are appointed, like a chief of police, utility manager, assistant chief, city clerk, where when they report their wages, it's the same, the bottom and the top are exactly the same number. So when you have that situation, the spread narrows down, it becomes less, and so we picked the target of 30, that's what we did last time. If you have questions on that, we can sure talk about that. And then we created this pay scale for our employees, and the last time we set a limit on if where an employee would be placed if you I don't even remember how it was. It was you could not have your rate changed greater than $2 an hour. This year, Ryan wanted to focus on years of experience. So because he has had, in order to fill his staff, start people at something other than the bottom of the pay scale. He started some because they have experience at a 3 or a 4 or a 5. And so his concern was that he wanted a pay scale that's going to be reflective of what his hiring experience has been in the last couple of years. And so he wanted to base where our employees are placed on that new pay scale on the years of experience for us in that position. Never will they go have a decrease in pay, but if you started out at a 5 and now the pay scale is the 1 is the 5, you're not going to be at the 5, you're going to go to the 1 because you have less than 1 year of experience, if that makes sense. I see questions.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, if we're looking at hiring people, right, and having any struggles of bringing people in, so are you saying that their step is based on their years of experience previous to us?
No.
Wouldn't that make sense if we get somebody with experience to have them come in and have the ability to make them a 5 if they have?
Well, that's where Ryan has to ask and say, I
So
feel
we
it's
have that
best
flexibility
to hire this person, I need to start them at a 5.
Yeah.
But
to bring them in, but just because they have 5 years somewhere doesn't mean that's where they should start for us.
Well, no,
Right, and there are some.
That's why you have an interview process.
Right, there's some jobs that are very, like a natural gas, for instance. It's kind of the same, the places that you work, but it's not the same because there's you learning specific things about this system and when you get 3 applicants for a job, right? I mean, that's the other thing that I don't know that he's ever going to get 15 or 20 applicants for a job, but he needs to be able to at least have a group that he can have interviews with and make decisions.
Yeah, but also have the flexibility if there's somebody that says that we really want to have.
Right, yeah.
That has an experience, that have the ability to make them an offer that they can find somebody.
We're getting a fair amount of applicants in most cases.
It depends on the position.
I mean, is it upper level, middle, low?
Like the GIS position, so Jason Blackwell moved on and Ryan had, I don't know, we started using Indeed, and he got quite a few applicants, and he started using Teams to screen them, and then he had a handful that he invited for personal interviews. But that is not as specific as a natural gas welder.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's one of the positions that he's struggled with hiring and EMS director, we've had some decent applications, we've had some decent interviews, but not quantity.
Sure.
Right? And EMS, we didn't get any of those applications off of Indeed. It was word of mouth. I know that this is, probably brings more questions to the table than it does answers, but Ryan and I will go more in depth with the finance committee and then have them make a recommendation. And give you the details that you need as well, the rest of the council. So if you have questions, just let me know.
When was the last time we did the salary survey? It's been a while.
2021, 2020, 22?
Oh, 22?
You were here, okay.
Oh.
I think the data was collected in 21 and it was implemented.
Okay.
There are some positions like the police department as well as the street department. If you remember earlier this year, we did a pay adjustment and theirs are very much in line. There's only minor adjustments that have to be made on those, so we took a step in the right direction by doing those. And I think because of that, both Joes have a full team. Yeah. So I would ask that you table any action on this to the next meeting.
I'd say, note in the minutes that the process is discussed, action will be taken.
Motion table.
Second.
Roll call.
Creachy,
Yes.
Ideas,
Yes.
Nagel,
Yes.
Sweet,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Okay, I don't think I have any comments unless somebody has some questions of me or just general questions for the council. Seeing none, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So finance committee's meeting 20th? Will this fit in with that? Or is it separate meeting?
Let's just something else.
Do both, maybe.
Yeah,
Get somebody
it
down.
might be a little bit longer.
Could be.
Technically, we don't have to have a motion to
Where are
adjourn.
we going
We
to?
can just adjourn.
I usually do.
We're already
When you
there.
call for a motion to